Alright, so this is a bit of an update of what I have so far. Initially here I had some basic walls. I took cubes, making them into some walls to test this, but I decided to find a model, and thankfully I came across this, which I can, this is a standard house. You got your living room, kitchen, all that. But it can be used to make like a hotel layout. So, but for right now, it works for what I need it to. I'm testing the nav mesh, which essentially it's all this blue area you see here is all walkable from within and without the house portion. So all this you see can be traversed. Now there's a nav mesh agent on the enemy. There's not one on the player though, because we don't need one. This isn't a point and click style game where you need the player to move on here, but this is for the enemy. And essentially all the spots that the player can walk on, the enemy can walk on. So that's going to be used for when you encounter an enemy. Let's say in a scenario you're here in this room in the game and doing whatever, you're roaming around. You come out here and an enemy happen to go into this area, this general area, kind of where this one's sitting. This is a hallway and what have you. There's other rooms of shit, but by coincidence, a enemy showed up. Very good reference for a game I've been playing recently was Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, and they do something very similar to that. You'll be hiding, and there may be some lurking, animatronic. There's some default ones that have their own little paths, but you have the bigger ones that roam around. They have a default too, but they're a little more advanced. Point being is, there's times I'll come out of some room and one of them's roaming around and catch me off guard, and that could happen here. It's over the shoulder, third person. You're roaming around in here. So you come out, there might be an enemy there, so you run back in real quick because you're like, shit, I want to, find somewhere to kind of prep up. You run in here, the enemy's gonna see that you went in here because it's gonna have logic, knowing, the last spot you were at. So, in this scenario, you were to come out the door, the enemy sees you, you run right back in. Let's say you make your way from the door up here, this general area, to here somewhere. So the enemy comes in, they know you came here at the door. That's about it. But I need some kind of logic telling them to look around, some particular area around them, like within X amount of yards. They'll look around, see if they can find a player. That may change. It may be the fact that since they know you're in the room, they're gonna find you anyways. Which almost Resident Evil style in the sense, because in Resident Evil, if you go around walls and shit, they'll still eventually find you. They'll roam over there, or you could give it the more realism where they go in the room, they know you're there, but they don't know exactly where you went, so they'll roam around. So it could go either way. Either they'll search for you in a general area where they know you're at last, or they'll just find you because they know, once they see you, they'll follow you for X amount of distance. If you outrun them for like 30 yards or something, then you're free of them for that time. But yeah, this gives an idea of how it works. Actually, I need to demonstrate it. So enemies up here on the top. If I have its update method, so its set destination is always where the player's position is, so it's constantly getting the player's position, and it'll automatically know. But if I hit play here, you can see that the enemy goes from up here. It's narrow here, so it goes a little slower, but it makes its way through. So you can adjust speeds and whatnot. If I hit here and I get your speed here, I can actually make that much quicker if I want. If I put the player like over here, you can say book it now. You can actually change to that dip it just did there. How it goes up and it kind of slingshots around. See, yeah, see if it did it there at the end, but there's a way to. I think it's acceleration. That definitely is not it. That just changes acceleration. But anyways, you get the point. Like it's able to follow the player. Now this just for testing purposes. It's always knowing where the player is because I needed to follow. I could assign a button. And in fact, I might do that for the debug mode of you press E to activate. It'll go directly to the player. Otherwise, it'll just stay where it's at. In either case, I got that working, so I just need to make the state machine, and based on that, we'll change the animation. It'll change the movement speed of the enemy too, because if it's just roaming around, it's probably not going to be, moving too fast. And if it's chasing you, it's likely going to move a bit faster, depending on what kind of enemy it is. Those still got to be worked out, but ultimately, I want that to sort of be a template or a basis for the enemies. They have their state machines. I want to try to get them as close as possible because if there's varying enemy types, we're probably going to need different states for them. Some enemies may not even roam around for that matter. So I'll make a like a parent one and then have the others derive from it maybe, but I'll see. So yeah, that's how it's working so far. I'll make a another demo with more of a layout because I really want to test that of having an enemy roaming around, a particular section. I'll probably put like several rooms here, or I don't know how big. I can change the size of this whole thing, but put several rooms of hallways. I'll have the enemy. I think next I'll have, after I get the actual state machine working, I'll have them roaming around, and if they encounter the player, have them chase them for a while. If you're running more than maybe, you can't run more than like 30 yards and then he just stops following you. You gotta run where, just for shits and giggles, you're running down a straight hall that's like a mile long and you happen to outrun the zombie 30 yards out. It's not gonna just suddenly stop following you. It can see you. It's gonna be able to have vision of you. Maybe for a particular distance I could do that. If it's past 30 yards, then it'll stop pursuing you, perhaps, depending on the enemy or what have you. Those still got to be worked out, but I really want to test that of putting rooms here with halls and just seeing how the enemy can pursue the player and stop pursuing the player and then go to roaming around and what have you. The attacking will come after. I just need to know that the logic of getting to the player works and being able to change states. Then I can detail the states more with attacking and whatnot. Again, all prototyping. This is all demoing. So when we get solid stuff that works, then we can make a prettier, more refined version. But for now, this is what we have. I'll post another video with an update once I get enough on here that'll warrant that. So until next time.